So, good day everyone. I am Kerpson J. Casinio, and I will be discussing about the Gestalt Therapy. So now let's discuss about the proponents of this approach. So Gestalt Therapy was developed by Fritz Perls and with the help of his wife Laura Perls. So both of them introduced this in the 1940s as an alternative to more traditional psychoanalysis. So both Fritz and Laura were trained in psychoanalysis and Gestalt psychology. So Fritz Perls was born in 1893 in Germany and was a psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst before co-founding Gestalt Therapy. So he had a background in psychoanalysis but grew dissatisfied with its emphasis on the past and detachment role of the therapist. So Fritz believes that the importance of viewing individuals as a whole. So with a focus on the present moment, he believed that understanding the whole person, including the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, was essential for personal growth and self-awareness. While on the other hand, Laura Perls was born in 1905 and was a psychoanalyst who worked closely with Fritz in developing and promoting Gestalt therapy. So she brought her own insights and perspective to the collaboration. And Laura Perls contribute to the development of Gestalt therapy's field theory and emphasizing the importance of the therapist-client relationship and the environmental context. So the field theory involves understanding individuals in the context of their immediate experience and environment. So those are the proponents of the Gestalt therapy. So moving forward, let's talk about the Gestalt therapy. So Gestalt therapy is an existential, phenomenological, and a process-based approach founded on the idea that people must be understood in the context of their ongoing connection with the environment. So awareness, choice, and responsibility are the pillars of this approach. So, to explain, Gestalt therapy aims for the client to gain greater awareness of their experience of being in the world. So, Gestalt therapists do not have a goal of changing their clients, but in fact, clients are encouraged to focus on becoming more aware of themselves, staying present, and processing things in the here and now. So the approach is both existential and phenomenological because it centers on the client's interpretations of reality and is based on the idea that individuals are always in the process of becoming, remaking, and rediscovering themselves. So most Gestalt therapists working now use a method that is supportive, accepting, emphatic, respectful, and dialogical, which is means that the focus is on the level of quality of the therapist-client relationship and the emphatic attunement while taping the client's wisdom and resources. So Pearls emphasize a comprehensive approach to personality. So psychoanalysis emphasize suppress interpsychic issues from a young age. But Pearls believe that in looking at here and now condition, it focuses much more on the process than on content. So therapists devise experiments designed to increase clients' awareness of what they are doing and how they are doing it. So Pearls asserted that how individuals behave in the present moment is far more crucial to self-understanding than why they behave as they do. So awareness usually involves insight and sometimes introspection, but Gestalt therapists consider it to be much more than either. So basically, clients are expected to do their own seeing, feeling, sensing, and interpreting. So as opposed to waiting passively of the therapist to provide them with insights and answers. So Gestalt therapy promotes direct experiencing rather than the abstractness of talking about the situation. So Gestalt Therapy is connected to Leslie Greenberg's emotion focused therapy, or known as EFT. So EFT comprises the procedure of therapy that is guided by the knowledge of how emotion plays a part in psychotherapy development. So the relational facets of the person-centered approach and the active phenomenological awareness of experiments of Gestalt therapy are combined in emotion-focused therapy. So the experiential therapies focus on the emotion as a route to both cognitive and behavioral change. So and these therapies encourage clients to stay with their moment by moment experience. So the key concepts of the Gestalt therapy. So first we have the Gestalt view of human nature is rooted in the existential philosophy, phenomenology, and the field theory. Genuine knowledge is the product of what is immediately evident in the presence of the perceiver. Second is that the Gestalt theory of change posits that the more we work at becoming who we are or what we are not, the more we remain the same. And last is the basic assumption of Gestalt therapy is that individuals have the capacity to self-regulate when they are aware of what is happening in and around them. Holism. So Gestalt is a German word meaning a whole or a completion or a form that cannot be separated into parts without losing its essence. So all of nature is seen as a unified and coherent whole, and the whole is different from the sum of its parts. So to put in simple phrase, holism is often referred to as a gestalt psychology. So it argues that behavior cannot be understood in terms of the components that make them up, but rather this is commonly described as the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. So field theory. So field theory, which is basically states that the organism must be perceived in its environment and is the foundation of Gestalt therapy. So within its settings, as a component of the ever-evolving area, the foundation of Gestalt therapy is the idea that everything is relational, in a flux, and related, and in a process. So the figure formation process. So the figure formation process tracks how some aspects of the environmental field emerges from the background and becomes the focal point of the individual's attention and interest. So the dominant needs of an individual at a given moment influence in the process. So the figure formation process describes how individuals organize and manipulate their environment from moment to moment. So organismic self-regulation is the creative adjustment that the organism or person makes in relation to the environment. So the figure formation process describes how the individual organize experience from moment to moment. So we have the organismic self-regulation. So the figure formation process is intertwined with the principle of the organismic self-regulation. So a process by which equilibrium is distributed by the emergence of a need, a sensation, or an interest. So organismic self-regulation is when we regulate ourselves according to the needs that arise from our natural organismic functioning. So good basic example includes going to sleep because we feel sleepy, or going to the toilet when we feel our bladder is full, and eating something when we feel hungry. So organisms will do their best to regulate themselves given their own capabilities and the resources of the environment. So we have the now. So focusing on the past and future can be a way to avoid coming onto terms with the present. So Polster and Polster 1973 developed the approach that power is the present. So Gestalt therapies ask what and how questions, but They are rarely asked why questions. This in order to promote now awareness, and the therapist encourage a dialogue in the present tense. So we can gain experience from the past, but we cannot relive it. And we can hope for the future, but we don't know if there is one. So Gestalt therapy is a type of psychotherapy that hyper focus on the present. So basically, this is like the individual living in and being conscious at the present moment rather than the worrying about the past or the future. So moving forward, we have the unfinished business. So when figures emerge from the background but are not completed and resolved, individuals are left with unfinished business. So which can be manifested in unexpressed feelings such as resentment, rage, hatred, pain, anxiety, grief, guilt, and abandonment. So these acknowledged feelings can create unnecessary emotional debris that causes or like clutters present centered awareness. So in that being said, unfinished business is created when a person is like unable to express or control a situation that is traumatic or painful for them or damaging. So these incomplete directions do seek completion, and when they get powerful enough, the individual like will it will cause compulsive behavior, wariness, oppressive energy, and much self-defeating behavior. So now we have the therapeutic goals. So it is evident that primary focus of Gestalt therapies is helping their clients achieve more awareness and consequently increase choice. So being aware involves being able to make contact, being aware of oneself, embracing oneself, and knowing one's surroundings. So it enhances and expanded consciousness considered therapeutic in and itself. So because of Gestalt therapy, without awareness, clients do not possess the tools of personality change. So in order like to grow, we should have to embrace our own awareness of our own oneself. So now we have the therapist's function and role. So what's the function and role of the Gestalt therapist? So according to Pearls, Hafferline, and Goodman 1951, the therapist's job is to invite clients into an active partnership where they can like learn about themselves by adapting an experimental attitude towards life in which they try out like new behaviors and notice what happens. And also, Gestalt therapies place a high value on observing their patient's body language. So these nonverbal clues convey a wealth of informations since they frequently like allude to emotions that the client is ignorant of. So the therapist must be on the lookout for inconsistencies between the client's verbalization and their body language, as well as for the attention and awareness gaps. So now we have the client's experience in therapy. So Gestalt therapies refrain from offering explanations for the dynamics of person's behavior or explain to a client why, as they are not the subject matter experts of the client's experience and why they are responding in a particular manner. So, Gestalt therapy patients actively participate in the process, but creating their own interpretation and meanings. So, we have Marianne Polster, 1987. So, she described a three-stage integration sequence that characterize client growth in therapy. So first we have the consists of discovery, and the second stage of the integration sequence is accommodation, in which it involves clients recognizing that they have a choice. And third stage of the integration sequence is assimilations, which involves clients learning how to influence their environment. And now, moving forward, we have the relationship between therapist and client. So, in Gestalt Therapy, it is an existential kind of therapy in which the therapist and clients have a personal interaction. So it is the duty of the therapist to be fully present, to know their clients and themselves, and to stay receptive to their needs. So they are also in charge of creating and upholding a therapeutic environment that encourage the client to work hard or to determine their own awareness. So Gestalt therapies not only allow their clients to be who they are, but also remind themselves do not get lost in a role. So therapists are expected to encounter clients with honest immediate reactions, and the therapists share their personal experience and stories in relevant and appropriate ways. So further, they give feedbacks that allows client to develop an awareness of what they are actually doing. So Gestalt therapy is an experiential and holistic approach that focuses on the here and now. So emphasizing personal responsibility and awareness. So here are some key therapeutic techniques and procedures used in Gestalt therapy. So first we have the empty chair technique. The procedure is that the client imagines someone or something in an empty chair and engages in a dialogue with it. So example for this is like if you are imagining, or like imagine a client struggling with unresolved feelings towards to a parent. So they can place an empty chair in front of them, symbolizing the parent, and express their emotion directly to the parents. So this technique facilitates a powerful exploration of emotion and perspective. This will help like the therapist to determine like the root cause or what may be the reason of like the problem. Now we have the reliving past experience. So the procedure in this approach is that this technique involves the client revisiting a past experience that is causing them distress. So the client might be asked to describe the situation, their feelings and thoughts, and to explore how they might have responded differently. So example, no? We have here a client who experienced a traumatic event might be asked to relive the experience in a safe and supportive environment. So the therapist might help the client to process the emotion associated with the event and to develop coping strategies for managing the distress. So here the exaggerating body language. So procedure, so that this technique involves the client exaggerating their body language to heighten their awareness of it. So this can help the client to become more aware of their nonverbal communication and to make conscious choices about how they present themselves. So example of this is that a client who tends to slouch and avoid eye contact might be asked to sit up and straight and make eye contact with the therapist. So the therapist might provide a feedback on the client's body language and help the client to like practice maintaining a more assertive posture. Now we have the top dog underdog dialogue. So in this, the procedure of this is like the exploring the internal conflict between the opposing parts of the self. So example is that a client experiences an internal conflict between their demanding, the top dog voice, pushing for perfection and submissive underdog voice feeling overwhelmed. So the therapist facilitates a dialogue between these aspects, helping the client to understand and integrate these conflicting parts. So that's all. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.